Tennis is an indie pop band, or technically duo, since there are only two members now since 2015. And they have been flying under my radar, I guess. Never really bothered to check out much of what they've done. Not sure why, just one of those bands I've kind of just glossed over for whatever reason. I think I've been a bit of a fool to do that though, since this new album of theirs I think is really quite good. One of those occasions where a website like Rate Your Music manages to do a pretty good job highlighting an album, pushing it up the charts, making people more aware of it. And yeah, one of those great examples definitely showed up here because I wouldn't have checked it out otherwise. But it really is a nice pop release. There's not much to be said about the album because it very much is just a little blissful, cute, melodic pop album here that clearly demonstrates the talents of the members of this band. Sweet vocals that are very front and center in the mix, which is something I'm always looking for because a lot of indie bands in the 2010s particularly, probably crossing over into the 2020s no doubt, often drown out their voice in reverb or have this lo-fi aesthetic that it just feels really hard to latch on to anything. Usually I'm just struggling to grab onto the singer or feel like the singer has any particular identity. No need for me to list off examples because I'm sure you've heard them all before, but I do really like what this singer is able to bring with her voice, and it very much reminds me of US Girls. Props to Noise Pond, or Brett Kane as I also know him as, for pointing this out way back when I did review the US Girls album in 2018, but I didn't really think anything of it because I hadn't listened to the band up until now. But thinking about it was kind of weird because I was like, shit, yeah, he's right. So of course, if you were a fan of that album like I was, you will of course be a fan of this here because there are some similarities in that regard. Occasionally though I do get a bit lost in this album. There are a few times where melodically it's just not quite as strong or gripping as some previous tracks were, and then there's the odd time where the singer goes into a much higher register with a voice hitting falsetto vocals that just really do very little for me. Runner being that exact example of what I just said there, coming straight after one of the best tracks as well. This is a moment for me that I'm just a bit about because I just don't really feel attached to anything. The track is so glossy and pristine. It sounds super, super squeaky clean. It's like the shiniest thing you could possibly lay your ears on, but like it's not that engaging. You know, it's impressive on a musical level to hear her voice hit those notes. It's cool, but like I just get bored. Luckily, it's not too common, but you know, it is a moment on the album that I find a bit disappointing, especially coming after the track that it did. And then the track before that even as well, like that 2-track run is fantastic. Need Your Love, it's ridiculously catchy. I love this track. And then How to Forgive is a brilliant one as well. It's quite sassy in its presentation, sort of picking at someone, just essentially saying like, look, forgiveness is all good, but how can I do that after what you did to me? And it's at this point of the album where I'm wondering if the singer is going through some kind of breakup, but the final track takes it even further by detailing possibly a divorce. Now, I haven't read into this band's history at all because actually I wanted to leave it up to my own interpretation just in case I could at least take something out of this album without knowing the actual facts, because I think it's a bit more interesting and a bit more exciting that way. But when you listen to the final track talking about how she's taken that person's name and things like that, it definitely makes you wonder. Late Night is another example as well, where she's coming to terms with the type of person that she chose to be with. She references Mary Magdalene as well, which of course has that little link to FK Twigs' album, with the way that FK Twigs really went into detail with those descriptions of the breakup there. So yeah, there's a lot to take away from this album. You're getting some really well written and emotive tracks that are just backed by some really well crafted pop tunes. There's nothing really to deny here. Like I say, occasionally some of the vocals aren't as quite impressive as some of the best tracks, and some of the tunes aren't as strong, so I guess I will go a 7 out of 10. But in terms of pop releases so far in 2020, you can't really go wrong with this one. Thank you for watching my review. If you have heard this album, let me know what you think. Subscribe if you haven't already, that would be great. Have a good day and check out this album. Goodbye.